Factsverse presents The mysterious disappearance of an infant is finally solved after 32 years. Australia is one of the most beautiful places in the world. The land, the water, and the wildlife in Australia are amazing. While the place is gorgeous, there are plenty of aggressive and dangerous creatures residing there as well. These creatures are responsible for thousands of deaths every year, and there was one death in Australia that turned the world upside down. Help us spread the word about Factsverse by clicking that like button, and also be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. A little girl named Azaria was born on July 11, 1980. Sadly, she died August 17, 1980. The cause of this baby's death remained a mystery and a controversy for decades. Lindy and Michael Chamberlain were Azaria's parents, and they decided to pack up the car in August of 1980 to take a camping trip to Uluru in the Australian Northern Territory. The area is also known as Ayers Rock. It's one of the most impressive rock formations on the planet, and it's a popular tourist spot. The whole point of the trip was for the family to take a trip to this amazing area. When they left the house, they stopped to get milkshakes before driving out to the desert. The baby was snuggled up in the back seat soundly. Lindy and Michael had no idea of the tragedy that lied ahead. When they parked the car, they began setting up the camp. Once the tent was set up, Azaria's parents laid her inside of it. They turned their head for only a few moments, and when they turned around, the baby was gone. The frightened parents were sure that someone or something had taken their baby. They were sure that it was a dingo. A dingo is a wild Australian dog, and Azaria's parents were sure that it must have been a dingo that stole their baby. The couple immediately got a hold of the authorities, who began combing the area for the baby. Since they couldn't find any evidence of what had happened, all they had to go on was the couple's reports and the suspicion that a dingo had stolen the child. While this could have been possible, it's also possible that someone had killed the newborn and buried her. Since there was no hard evidence, the initial coroner's report said that the baby likely died from a dingo attack. This wasn't enough for the Northern Territory Police or the prosecutors, and they refused to close the investigation. Forensic techs took ultraviolet photos of the baby's jumpsuit. They also used the blood that was found in the tent and the wounds on her neck to draw their own conclusion. The authorities believe the baby might have died as a result of having her throat cut. When the story got out, the press turned against the Chamberlains, and soon the public began to believe the press, and suddenly the grieving parents were the most hated people in the nation. Over time, there were jokes, cartoons, and rumors surrounding the strange circumstances of the baby's death. The Chamberlains were part of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and people found this to be unusual. Many people believed that they were part of some kind of cult and that they allowed their baby to be sacrificed as a religious ritual. Since most people thought it was strange to go camping with a newborn baby, Lindy became the main suspect. When the police received an anonymous tip that the baby's name, Azaria, meant a sacrifice in the wilderness. In fact, her name means God helped, but people didn't want to do any research to find out the true meaning of the name. Unfortunately, though, the damage was done and both Lindy and Michael were arrested for their daughter's murder. According to police, Lindy cut the baby's throat in the front seat of the car, and then she put the baby's body in a large camera case. When they got to the campsite and ran into other campers, the couple decided to set up a crime scene to make it look like the baby had been taken by a dingo. According to Lindy, the baby was wearing a small jacket over her jumpsuit. Since there was no jacket on Azaria when she was found, the jury believed that Lindy was lying about that. The fact that the baby's singlet was on backwards was another thing that the jury struggled with. Lindy explained that she was in a rush, but the jury wasn't buying it. On October 29, 1982, Lindy was convicted of murder. She was also sentenced to life in prison. Michael was found guilty as an accessory after the fact, and he was given an 18-month suspended sentence. 4 years after the couple was convicted, an English tourist named David Brett fell to his death while visiting Ayers Rock. It took 8 days for the police to find his remains, which were in a dingo lair. They also found the baby's torn jacket. This was the evidence that the defense needed to get another trial. The case went before a new judge, and it took him nearly 2 years to deliberate the validity of the initial findings. On September 15, 1988, Michael and Lindy were found not guilty, and they were released from prison. Although they were exonerated, the whole world still believed that they were murderers. The couple was awarded $1.3 million for wrongful imprisonment, which wasn't much for them. It only covered a third of their legal costs. Finally, in 2012, 32 years after the baby's death, a coroner went over the case again and found that it truly was a dingo who killed the baby. Over the years, there have been books written about the case, a feature film, a TV movie, a play, a miniseries, and even an opera. This couple suffered for decades over the loss of their baby and their damaged reputation. The mysterious disappearance of their infant was finally solved after 32 years, but it didn't do much to help Lindy and Michael Chamberlain. Their lives were already ruined. Subscribe for more.